You ever wonder the brand names that are in all the gyms you go into on a day-to-day basis? This is the video for you. We're gonna actually break down some of the commercial equipment that's out there based on brand and what they actually are and what the reputations are actually known for. Not only that, I'm gonna get into some light commercial brands and some new up and coming brands that I've seen that are out there that are doing some amazing things. Let's get into it. I'm Jose Hernandez, and this is CSM Fitness USA's YouTube channel. We focus mostly on gym equipment here. This is what we do, so we like to talk about it. Now, if you ever wondered when you walked into a gym, what brands are the better brands, what brands are supposed to be the top-notch brands, this is a video where I actually just want to break down and talk about what these actual brands are known for. So let's start with the top, and then we'll work our way down. So number one in the list for me is always going to be Life Fitness. Life Fitness and Hammer Strength has been around since, I want to say, the 1980s, to say the least. They started off with a bike called the Life Cycle. From there, they just kind of grew as a company and got into, building strength equipment. They were really well known for really awesome treadmills. There are treadmills that are still out there that are 30, 40 years old that are Life Fitness brand that are still holding up today. These are commercial treadmills, obviously, not light commercial, but they had all throughout the 90s and the early 2000s, they had both, they had a huge market share here in the United States. And globally, it's still known as one of the top brands you could actually own, have, or sell, actually. For us here, we do not sell Life Fitness products at CSM Fitness, but we do like to sell them used. The reason we like to sell them used is because they do hold up. So their brands are top-notch. I mean, their quality's top-notch. And if you compare it to other brands that are out there, as far as their cardio equipment goes, it's probably number one as far as durability. And then as far as the strength equipment goes, they're a little bit slow to adapt only because it's such a big company. But for the most part, they do come out with some pretty cool products down the line. It might take them a while to get there, say 4 or 5 years before they come out with a new item or a new cool piece of equipment. But when they came out with it, they make sure that it's 100% right. If you know, back in the days, they used to have the Hammer Strength H Squat. The Hammer Strength H Squat has become super popular in today's age just because it's such a big behemoth of a leg press and people actually love it. This is why Life Fitness has been around for so long. They do have this amount of legacy that they have in the industry. So, for me, Life Fitness is always going to be one of the top brands, unless they have a huge fall off, which could happen. They could sell to a Chinese company or something and start selling a bunch of Chinese stuff and stop caring about customers, quality control, and all the things that happens with all these gym equipment companies that don't necessarily stick around for a long time. Now, when you start comparing, say, Life Fitness, oh wait, by the way, Life Fitness actually owns Hammer Strength and Cybex. Cybex is no longer a brand. They just basically got consumed by Life Fitness and no longer exist. So anything that you see that's Cybex branded out there, Cybex was a standalone brand that basically got bought over by Life Fitness, and now it's just kind of disappeared into the limelight. Hammer Strength, on the other hand, was created by by Gary Jones, which is Arthur Jones's son. Arthur Jones actually created Nautilus equipment back in the 1970s and 80s. So it does come with tons of engineering. It was ahead of its time when Hammer Strength first came out as far as all their isolateral pieces. And again, that's the reason why Life Fitness is what it is today. So let's move on to another one that a lot of people recognize, which is Precor. Precor is actually known for their ellipticals. They were never truly known for anything other than their ellipticals. Somewhere down the line in, I want to say the early 2000s, late 90s, they ended up buying a company called Icarian, and that became their strength line. So then Precor had strength, which was their Icarian line, and they had their ellipticals, the 544 EFX. I actually cut my teeth delivering those things 20 something years ago when they're already used and pretty much going out of all the gyms. Even then, 20 years ago when they were 10 or 15 years old, they were still, you know, very, very good machines. Now, they've always been known for their cross ramp adjustability and their durability when it comes down to ellipticals. I generally think that they're some of the better ellipticals that are out there, if not the best. I know that sounds crazy because I just praised Life Fitness, but you know, for the most part, you know, if I were to pick an elliptical, I would definitely pick a Precor elliptical over a Life Fitness elliptical just because of design, and I think it's just a better workout. Now, just going back, touching with Life Fitness for a moment, they do have what's called the Arc Trainer, which is a great piece of equipment, but it's not comparable to an elliptical. It's just different, you know? So, and this is more of a comparison about brands, okay? The next one that's big, that just popped out like out of nowhere, was Matrix. Matrix actually has been around for, Johnson Health Tech, which owns Matrix, has been around for a long time. I can't really be 100% sure. I didn't really do my homework on that brand as far as like their pedigree and their history, but I will say they've been around a long time, at least as long as I've been in the business. I've been in the business for 24 years. So that being said, they first started like as a Chinese cardio company, and little by little in the mid 2000s, I want to say 2009, 2010, they really started to like innovate and start changing their products. First thing they did was actually hire a guy from Life Fitness. I believe his name was Chris Clausen, I believe his name was. He actually switched over from Life Fitness and started working for Matrix. And when he did that, they came out with the Matrix T5 and T7 treadmills. If you look at them, they're actually really good treadmills. When they first came out, they're amazing, you know, and they were very comparable to, say, a Life Fitness treadmill. They knew that, and they've been able to basically take over a large share of the market in a short period of time, just because, I hate to say it, because their price points are so much cheaper than brands like Life Fitness, Technogym, Precor, etc. So they've been actually really, really strong in the marketplace for the last 10 or 12 years. If you look at the Planet Fitnesses have basically switched over to all Matrix for the most part. That is a good and a bad thing. I could explain in a further video as to why, but they've been able to just get a lot of market share, which is amazing for a company that just came out of nowhere, really. If you would have asked me in 2010 or 2009, what do I think of Matrix? I would have said it was crap. Ask me today, and I don't have that perspective anymore. Their treadmills are very durable. Their strength lines are okay. I will say, I think they sell strength just because they need to have it, but I don't think they sell it because I just think they're checking a box with it. It's not great. It's not super innovative. It's not pretty. Well, their G7 line is pretty, I guess. They bought a company called Magnum at one point, and they took over Magnum's, they started basically selling Magnum type stuff, but then they got away from it, and now it's just strictly Chinesium. Oh, sorry, that's not a real thing, but I call it Chinesium because it's pretty much all manufactured and brought over here and assembled in the United States. Some people think that it's made in the US, but it's not, it's just assembled here. A lot of the components are made in Taiwan. And again, I have nothing against Chinese companies. I have nothing against Chinese production. I think it's perfectly fine. I just think that Matrix's designs are really the issue. They're not very, they're not as good as Life Fitness's, and they're not as good as other brands like Technogym, for example, if you ask me. But we can move on to the next one. Technogym is another brand that's been around for as long as I can remember. Now, Technogym is a very, very big brand overseas, not necessarily here in the United States. In the United States here, their share is in high-end and really high-end facilities where you'll see it, or you'll see it in high-end hotels, high-end studios. That's all you pretty much ever see it. You rarely will see it in a box gym. You rarely ever see it in a Marriott, to be honest with you. You're just gonna see it in places like a Four Seasons, for example, before you will see it anywhere else. So their market share, even though they say they're the largest they say that the largest fitness equipment company in the world, I don't think so, to be honest with you. I don't believe that, you know, because even when I travel overseas, I don't go around gym to gym and see a bunch of Technogym still. I still see Precor Life Fitness and other brands out there, other than Technogym. So maybe they're just gloating, and maybe they just, you know, they fake it till they make it when it comes down to it. But I don't see it as the world's largest equipment, you know, seller in the world. I mean, if that's the case, then I don't know where the equipment's going. Maybe it's going to Central America or in Southern America and places all over the world where I don't ever see it. And that's absolutely possible. If you know that, please comment below. I would love to hear it. But yeah, for the most part, their strength lines are, they're okay. They have a lot of issues with biomechanics. They have a lot of issues with breakdown. They're, you know, high dollar, high price, but they're sleek looking, they're pretty, and I think that's why people pretty much go for them. Plus, they do really innovate with their cardio products. They came out with a skill mill before anybody else. They've had their Arteris line of cardio products are amazing. So they do, you know, they do innovate, and I will say that the products are cool looking, and I think that goes a long way. But that's how I know Technogym. I've never heard, and nowadays with the new trends that everybody's following, where everybody's going after old school gym equipment that they could find that, you know, fits in their gym. I've never heard of any single person looking for a piece of Technogym that was like rare and hard to find that they had to have in their gym. And that speaks a lot to their strength. And, you know, if you ask me, that's a weakness in the company that maybe one day they'll address. Until then, we're gonna move on to the next one. Do the next thing, I'm gonna group them together. This is the core health and fitness group of products. That's gonna be StarTrack, Nautilus, Throwdown, StairMaster, Jacob's Ladder, and I think that's it. Oh, Schwinn, sorry, how could I forget? Schwinn commercial spin bikes, not Schwinn the bikes you ride around town. So we're core dealers here, and you know, we've had a lot of success with it. I think that it's an amazing product line. They have really, really good, the Nautilus products. Let's just start with the Nautilus product. The Nautilus products are very nice. I think that they need to get away from all the red accents on like the Impact and on the Inspire products, just because, you know, just for branding purposes, I think that equipment fits in well when it doesn't have an accent color. Biomechanically, they're great, especially their Impact line. I don't necessarily like their Inspiration line, which is their higher end. The higher end line kind of reminds me of the Technogym stuff. It's very pretty and it's big, but you know, I don't think you're gaining anything there where it's worth spending the extra money. So now their Impact line was basically the old Flex line stuff that they have that still has that pedigree of Flex, but it has a lot of updates and little different quirks that they built with it. Like their isolateral kneeling leg curl is amazing. Their unilateral row, which is pretty cool. Like they do have a lot of really cool pieces, and they're very durable. They are made overseas. They're Chinesium as well, and yeah, so they're good products. They're high end, I will say that. I mean, if you're looking for selectorized, if you're looking for like 3D Smith machines and stuff like that, they've been making them forever, and they're very high end, very heavy duty. And if I were opening up a gym, I definitely put that in there. And not just saying that because I sell it, but because I think it is one of those brands that's a little bit overlooked in the commercial atmosphere, if you ask me. Now, I will say StarTrack actually was the matrix of their time about 15, 20 years ago. They were everywhere. They were in any chain, you name it, they would have StarTrack treadmills. They were, if you know, the 7600 was one of the best treadmills ever made. It was 5 horsepower. Some of them had they were beyond their time. Some of them had their own scales on them. They were great treadmills. Before that, they had the 4500, the 3900, yada, yada. So the 4000. And they were out of California, out of Temecula and Irvine. They ended up buying a company called Flex Fitness, which is their strength line, which I think that when it became Core Health and Fitness, that's basically what they bought, was those two brands. They basically bought Flex and StarTrack. Besides that, they carry StairMaster. If you know StairMaster, the brand's been around forever. It's a legacy brand. It's been around since the 1980s. with the old 4000 PTs. And they've innovated a lot in them. I think that the StairMaster basically has changed the whole industry, because before they were the only ones making the StairMaster. They were the only ones making rotating steps. Now in 2026, there's like, I want to say a good 7 or 8 different manufacturers, maybe 8 manufacturers that are making revolving stairs right now. So, you know, it's a copy. You know, people copy each other, and StairMaster is one of those brands you actually copy from. Now, their newer lines are very heavy, so that's the one downfall, of the one flaw that I find in them right now, is that like their 8GX and their 10GX are super heavy step mills. Like I actually was just moving one the other day, and it's just a beast. So if you're ever buying one and it's got to go up a couple flights of stairs, I would just forget that. You don't want that. So that's that. Then, you know, they own Jacob's Ladder, which if you know anything about revolving anything, like revolving steps, then you have the Jacob's Ladder, which is basically a revolving set of stairs. And a great, you know, firefighters love them. Anybody who's like crazy about cardio loves them. And they're a good brand. And, you know, I would say Core Health and Fitness is still doing the same thing. They're just basically manufacturing and making them. And then they also own Schwinn, which Schwinn is, you know, they've been around for a long time making spin bikes. You know, their claim to fame was the NXT spin bike, which was with Mad Dog Athletics back in the day, before they, you know, when Johnny G called it spinning, and it switched over. It was the Johnny G bike, the pro bike, and then it became an NXT. Johnny G sold spinning to Mad Dog Athletics. Mad Dog Athletics had a crap load of different spin bikes throughout the years, but that's really where they started, was with the, it was a Schwinn who became a StarTrack bike, where now Core is back to StarTrack bikes. Actually, no, they're back to Schwinn bikes, just no spinning. It's just called a cycle. You know, you can't call it spinning because it's trademarked. Don't mess with this video because I'm saying spinning. So that's that. So those are really, and then Throwdown is basically like their racks and their weights. You know, it's more like their Rogue line of products that they have there. And there's really only, but, you know, they have half racks, platforms, and that kind of stuff. Nothing crazy. I wouldn't, you know, not really much to talk about there if you ask me. Let's see what else. I'm gonna get to, okay, Rogue Fitness. That's another big one. You don't necessarily see them a lot in commercial gyms. You're gonna see Rogue, it all started because of CrossFit. If it wasn't because of CrossFit, Rogue would be nowhere. They literally put CrossFit in business. And I think that if Rogue is not smart and doesn't innovate, CrossFit will also take them out of business, you know, because they're synonymous with CrossFit, you know, so that's the crazy thing about Rogue. So they make great racks. Most American, correct me if I'm wrong, anybody out there, mostly American made. And, you know, again, it's racks, rigs, nothing really crazy, but they really did come on strong right around 2005, 2006, when I started really seeing them come up. And nowadays, where it fits in is if you're making a functional room for any kind of gym, if you're a personal trainer that's putting up a personal training studio, you need some sort of rig system, they have them available. Now, I will say this though, everyone has 3x3 tubing rigs at this moment. And if you're looking to buy Rogue just because you want the brand, I understand. But if you're just looking to save some money, you don't necessarily have to buy Rogue. So if you want to know anything about that, just, you know, hit me up down at the bottom there, all my contact information. I could talk to you about a bunch of other different brands, qualities that are definitely cheaper than Rogue and just as good. Let's see what else. Then you're gonna have like, so let's call that our like A tier brands. Now let's go for some like B tier stuff, right? These are like the secondary, tertiary brands that are out there that are good brands, been around a long time, just don't get the shine that some of the major brands do. What the major brands do well is that they have like a specific market on lockdown and they keep pounding that market. So they're like I wouldn't say they're a one-trick pony, but they know who they're selling to, right? And I think that the B tier people they also know who they're selling to, but it's not the same customer. You know, you're not going to sell Spirit Fitness into a Four Seasons, for example. They're going to want Technogym. It's just a difference, you know? I mean, a treadmill's a treadmill if you ask me, but, you know, they want bells and whistles and sleekness, you know, if you ask me. So anyway, that being said, I'm going to go through these real quickly. SportsArt, they're out of Washington, all made in Taiwan, I believe. Good cardio products, last very well. They have some good medical treadmills. Their strength lines are lackluster. They only come in one color now. It's just black. Before they used to come in like a gunmetal. And you know, their upholstery is okay. They were just kind of like, I don't know, they have like these wind sail kind of like stacks and stuff. And maybe in like a few years, the trend will change and something will come of them. But for the most part, it's just kind of like one of those brands that's just been around a long time. And it's a little on the expensive side for what you get, you know. Torque Fitness, Torque's been around for a long time. That's one of the main competitors, if you ask me, to Rogue. You know, they basically sell kind of like very similar product lines, but they're actually a lot more innovative. They sell all kinds of like storage systems, rig systems, and all kinds of other cool stuff. So, you know, take a look at their website. I don't sell Torque, but I know the guys over there, and very good stuff. It's been around for a long time. Then we got brands like Octane and True, which are good cardio brands, been around for a long time. They're innovating. They're good brands. Again, they don't get the shine that some of the major manufacturers go, but they slowly been taking on a lot of the market that's out there. A lot of like that tertiary, the secondary market has been overtaken with like True and same products, as well as brands like Hoist, brands like Spirit Fitness, which I love. And what else is out there? So yeah, so those are like some of the, oh wait, how could I forget? Pro Maxima is another one that I wanted to talk about. It's actually a really cool brand. It's made in Houston. It's American made. I'm not sure where the steel comes from, because sometimes I say American made to people and they're like, well, where does the steel come from? I'm just telling you right now, I don't know. I just know that it's an American brand. It's been around for a long time. If you're looking for something customized, they're the people for you. They're huge in colleges and in high schools, believe it or not. So those college rooms, the college weight rooms, the high school weight rooms, you'll see Pro Maxima in a lot of those places. They're very heavy duty, very well built, and the original owner sold the company now to a new guy, and the new CEO is actually innovating. He's coming out with brand new lines. He's really doing some stuff that, you know, I don't think the old Pro Maxima would have done. So, you know, it's basically rebranded to PMX now, and you know, they have the same old classical stuff that they have, plus now they have a bunch of other stuff too as well that they're coming out with, which I'm pretty excited about. So Pro Maxima is another one of those lines that if you're ever looking at, a lot of people don't recognize it, even though it's been around forever. But I think in the next 4 or 5 years, I think that that's going to change. I honestly believe with the way the world is right now, if you're mostly being made here in the United States, I think you're going to be just fine. I think that if a lot of these companies that are coming from overseas are going to have a tough time just because of the way the world is working today. Along those lines of like, you know, college rooms and weight rooms where you go into the collegiate and the high school level, there's like brands like Eleiko, brands like Powerlift, brands like Williams Strength, brands. There's so many like brands that are out there that are just made specifically for that kind of market. So just keep in mind, like those are brands you might not necessarily see on a regular gym floor. You're gonna see them more like on the college, you know, level side where you actually see some of that stuff. Some of the stuff is pretty innovative. So, you know, it's just keep in mind those brands exist. Just throwing them out there. I figured I'd just group them all together. They're not super popular. They're just out there and they've been around for a long time. All pretty much American made from what I understand. Following with the B tier, you have Spirit Fitness has been around for like 25 years. They make great cardio. They started recently bringing in strength. I've been selling it. Their stuff is actually very nice. Great warranties. I think that if you're looking for a good treadmill, you know, you get a Spirit treadmill and they're great and they're priced right. So I think that that's their strong point right now. Then you have brands like along the cardio lines, I think that's about all I would sell as far as cardio lines. Pro Maxima has cardio too. I've generally only sold their power mill, their step mill. I haven't sold any of their other stuff, so I don't want to speak on it. I know that some people have, I've seen it in places and the stuff looks like it holds up. But for me, I'm looking for aesthetics more than anything when it comes down to treadmill, because I think a treadmill goes up, down, round, and round, but I just want it to look a certain kind of way. And I think that sometimes brands miss on that mark. I think they think their designs are pretty, but then you look at them and they look kind of ugly. And I'm not saying that about Pro Maxima specifically, but I'm just saying that that's kind of what happens. There are other couple of brands that I want to mention. Precor is one of them. Hoist is another. And again, B tier, mostly going to be found in like light commercial places, not necessarily full commercial places. So keep that in mind. Hoist, you see the Hoist rocket stuff in a lot of different places. I'm not like, I don't like the Hoist rocket stuff. The Hoist rocket stuff has got that gimmick where the whole seat moves. And it's exactly that to me. It's just a gimmick. It doesn't convince me that it's doing anything other than just a regular chest press. Or why do I need to rock with a bicep curl? It's just a gimmick. I guess it's a cool gimmick because it actually differentiates you from everybody out there. But at the same time, I'm going to be real. It's just a gimmick. I'm not even being convinced. There's not a single piece of Hoist rocket where I'm like, oh, this is amazing. It's just gimmicky, if you ask me. And the footprints are very small on some of the machines, which I kind of like. That's that. Another brand that I think is really cool, there's two other brands I want to mention. Tag Fitness, very cool. They're coming out with more stuff. They're innovating now. I'm starting to see their storage systems being integrated with Smith machines and with half racks, with flooring. They have a lot of different like accessories. They're actually a pretty cool company for like light commercial stuff. I think now you could actually do more commercial stuff with them. And I think down the line, I think that's gonna end up happening. I think for right now, it's just gonna take a little while for it to catch up. They have been around a long time. Now, all the companies I mentioned in the last 20 minutes that I've been talking have been around for, I wanna say plus 20 years. This company that I'm about to talk about has not. If you ever heard of a company called Bolt Fitness, Bolt Fitness is actually pretty impressive. They are out of Texas, I believe Houston. We're dealers for them as well. They're really cool products, very innovative. The owners and the sales guys, you could tell they just love fitness equipment. And those are the kind of people that I love to deal with. They have a bunch of retro pieces, basically the pieces that like the old Nautilus plate loaded. They have remakes of those. They have some remakes of the old Flex Fitness stuff. They have their own innovations to T-bar rows and plate loaded stuff and selectorized stuff. They're not just copying old stuff. They're coming up with their own spin on a lot of different things. What I like about them the most though, is that they're not overpriced. That's what gets me about innovative companies that are coming out in 2025, 2026 that you're starting to see. Companies like Prime, companies like Max Pump, companies like Panada. There's some Panada pieces that are worth $20,000. I don't see that being worth it, if you ask me, especially if you're just opening a business or if you're, if you own a gym. Who wants to spend $20,000 on one piece? You can spend $20,000 in rebuilding your locker room, but not on one piece of equipment, unless you got it like that. I don't know. Some people do, some people don't, but I don't see the value in it, if you ask me, as an expert. Now, Bolt, what they're doing is that they're coming out with these pieces that are innovative. They're very, very well built, Chinesium as well, but they're not overpriced. They're not like saying, hey, I got this isolateral T-bar row on rails. I want $95,000 for it. They're literally like priced, hey, $3,500. You're like, oh, okay, I could do that. And I think that that's kind of what's always missing with some of these new brands. They think that because they're the new hot kid, the new kid in the block, that they could charge absorbent amounts of money for product. And I think that that's where me and Bolt kind of met eye to eye, because I was like, you know what? I like what you guys are doing, but not only that, you guys are actually selling it for a price that makes sense. That's something that's gonna last for a long time. And I think that that's the reason why I'm actually talking about it right now. So look into Bolt Fitness. We don't have their whole catalog up on our website, but eventually we will. It's just a matter of like getting the man hours in there to actually put them on our website. But I think that stuff is absolutely amazing. I'm actually putting some of that stuff in my house currently, and I think that it's great. Now let's talk about light commercial and home brands. I'm just gonna go down the line here because this is gonna be really fast. We'll start with NordicTrack. Garbage. ProForm. Garbage. I think ProForm makes NordicTrack. I could be wrong, okay? Maybe, I don't know. We'll think about it. I'll look into it. Bowflex, crap, sorry. Reps Fitness, not bad at all. I think Reps has a lot of cool stuff, not gonna lie. Force USA has the racks and the rigs. I think they're a little overpriced for what you're getting. There's a lot of competition in that space right now with what they're selling with the Force USA stuff, with the multifunction racks. I think you got companies like Vespa, you got companies like Bolt that sells very similar stuff. Maxima sells similar stuff. Bodycore sells similar stuff. So I think that what Force USA is doing is that they're actually just bombarding people with the online marketing with social media for the most part. Let's see here, TRX. I mean, that's not really, I mean, TRX is just TRX. I mean, suspension straps and stuff that's along that line. Hoist Fitness, they have their light commercial lines of stuff. They're good stuff, just like their full commercial stuff. I don't see, I think they're multi-unit, I mean, they're multi-purpose machines, like their multi machines are really cool, where they have like their chest press and leg extension, the leg curl on them. They're heavy duty. They're freaking hard to build because they have a gazillion different parts in them, but you know, is what it is. Trac has some light commercial stuff that's available. I feel kind of like the same way about that stuff like I spoke to on the commercial side. And that's it. That's what I have. Now, if you stuck around to this video this long, I really appreciate it. We do offer a free gym assessment at csmfitnessusa.com. I leave the link down below. It comes with a free 3D rendering if you're interested. And yeah, if you're ever looking for any kind of advice on gym equipment for your space, for your home, for your high-end gym, please feel free to reach out. And as always, I really appreciate you watching. I'm out. Peace.